Hey everyone, it's Nadia from liadiadesigns and I'm back with another tutorial. Today I'm really excited about this project. It's something I've been actually been trying to work on for a while, but I'm trying to fit it in between customer orders and some other things that I'm working on. So it's been waiting and I'm really excited to finally get a chance to work on it. So this mold you actually might recognize from Molds and Shapes. At least the shape of it, the design of it, because I have coasters that I've made videos for, and I made them in my ultra glam technique and kind of like a reddish color, and I've done a couple other styles, some geode styles and things like that in coasters that that are about this big in this design, and I absolutely love the design. And they've now made a extra large, so this is like a really large size, so it's about, I believe it's about 14 inches in diameter across. So it's a really large, beautiful size. You could use it for so many different things. What I'm going to be doing with it today is I'm going to be trying anyway to to make a clock. So just because, again, I think it's such a unique shape, I want to see what I can do with it. So if you've seen any of my clocks before, I actually have a style that's similar to what I'm going to be doing here, but obviously different. But so I have these dials that I actually bought, and I'll link the supplier in the description beneath the video here, and so you can find her. She's on Etsy as well as Instagram and things like that, but I think her shop is on Etsy. So I get these dials, and I have them in gold and I have them in silver, and these are the Roman numeral ones. She does have ones that are the regular numbers, like the Arabic numbers. So we do have, she does have those as well. But like I said, I really like the look of the Roman numerals. So the idea is to put this on top, and then I'm going to design around it. So I have a sketch, and I like to do sketches of my ideas before I actually make them. So this is the sketch of the clock. So it has like a flower design, and then there's a center with the dial, and then the hands and stuff. So this is kind of my plan. And the design, I'm not sure if any long time followers of mine from like my early days on Instagram will recognize the flower design, because it's something that I did a long time ago when I first started. It was one of my first flower designs that I hand painted, and it's this style right here. I did one on a piece of acetate just so that I could test it out to see how it was going to look. So this is the flower design that I'm working on. So you can see it would be something like this. Obviously these, whatever doesn't fit won't be added once I paint them on. So if those are too big, they won't be on there. But as you can see, according to the design, there's going to be a bunch of them just kind of going around the clock. And this is what the final flower should look like. And for the design, obviously, I'm sure many of you recognize, I'm going to be using this washi tape here for the flowers. So I have that, and like I said, this is the washi tape, and the technique I'm going to be doing here is very similar to one that I've actually already made a tutorial for, but I'm just going to be using it for this piece here. I'm going to take the dial out, but I don't know if you can see it. I did actually make, I don't know if you can see the marks, but I did actually make like a circle, or at least little kind of indicators of where the circle is going to be, so I know where the flowers are going to fit. So I have that. And like I said, I created this just to make sure my idea was going to work in terms of how everything was going to be laid out, and with the washi tape. And it actually also let me kind of figure out a technique that I think is going to help you guys in terms of, it seems really daunting and it seems like it's going to be a lot. And I mean, it is going to be time consuming. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be time consuming. So it's going to be something that, it's going to take a little while, probably at least an hour, maybe a little bit more, depending how quick you are to kind of get the design on here. But I'm hoping the technique I'm going to show you is going to make it a little bit easier. So anyways, so let me get all set up and then we'll get started. Okay, so I know the first concern for a lot of you are going to be that maybe you feel like you can't, create the design. So that's going to be the first step of concern here. So obviously I'm going to be drawing out my design on here and then, doing everything I have to do after that. But I know that's the first step for a lot of you that might feel like, okay, I'm not quite sure if I can do that. So here's what I'm thinking. If you want to attempt something like this, is I would probably find, I mean, if you can draw a basic flower or a flower shape that you like, great. If not, maybe you look online and you find, you know, something, maybe it's like one of those, I know a lot of people use like coloring book pages because it's just the linear, just the outlines. So if you find like a flower online that you can print out, then, you know, you can do something similar to what I'm going to be showing you here. So let's say, for example, you just found a really simple, you know, a really simple flower that's not even as, you know, complicated as the one I'm going to be doing. Let's say you wanted to just use, you found one online, or you are able to draw, you know, just kind of a little daisy type flower, right? So then what you would do is you can cut this out, or maybe draw it, get it in a couple sizes. If you're printing it off the internet, you can, you know, maybe print it out at a couple different sizes that are going to fit. So you would have to measure what the space is that you have here. Like I said, so this could be one size, which I think, you know, will fit in here. And let's say there's a slightly larger size. So you could print it out, you know, at a couple different sizes, or maybe it's also a couple different forms. So let's say this is, you know, the full daisy. Maybe you want one that's, you know, that shows like it's a half daisy. So we have like ones that look like this. Things like they haven't, you know, the ones that haven't opened up yet. So you can get a couple different sizes, and then what you would do is you would cut them out. And I'm not going to do that with these, but I have done it with my flower. So as you can see probably on the white better. So I've actually sketched it out on a piece of acetate, and then just this to give you my shape. So like I said, you can do the same thing with these. And then what you'll do is you can go in with your, you know, your daisies. You can go in and then draw where everything's going to go. So you would just take, get a washable marker, one that you can clean off after everything is done. That's not going to, you know, damage your resin. So any kind of kids washable marker is fine. This one is a fabric marker from Crayola. It's just something I grabbed from my kids', you know, bin of art supplies. So it's not specific any reason why I have this one. And then you would just outline, you know, where the flower would go. And again, my design's a bit more complicated because I have petals within petals. So that's what I'm saying. If you wanted a more simplified flower that just has an outside, you know, outer shape and maybe a circle in the middle, then that's a bit easier. In any case, so you would then, you know, take your stencil, you're basically creating your own kind of stencil, and then you would place it going around your clock, you know, however you want to do it. So you would do that, and then later on, after, you know, we've put our flowers in, obviously I'll show how we can add stems and things like that to kind of, you know, connect them all. But so that would be the way that you could start a design if you feel like you just can't freehand it right onto your piece. So that's step one. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to go and freehand my design on here. So we'll go into a quick time lapse for that, and then I'll see you on the other side so we can go to step two. Okay, so we have the design laid out here now. So as you could see through the time lapse, hopefully, was that I actually was using the template. I just figured it's going to be easier for me to kind of show you guys properly if I don't freehand the whole thing. I actually use the template. So I did. So for the major, larger flowers, they're all the same size. I did flip the template on a few of them just to kind of give some variation to the flowers. So that's another tip that you can do. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll just get things sorted out so I can show you the next step of actually creating the flowers. Okay, so for the next step, we're going to need to get all of our washi tape cut to the sizes that we need. So the way that, like I said, the way that we're going to do it, I'm going to show you in the video, is just so it makes it a little bit easier for you guys. And I found that it was kind of, you know, it was kind of a bit more efficient too. So, and it takes about a lot of the guesswork out. So I'm going to take my template. So in this case, it's going to be this one. If you, like I said, if you have a printout or whatever you were using for yours, you would use that. So I'm going to just put it on here, and I'm going to take a piece of acetate or any type of plastic that's see-through, and I'm going to just, it doesn't really matter where, you just kind of put it on top. And then I'm going to take my washi tape, and I'm going to place it, obviously I'm going to do 2 layers just because the flower's taller. In the previous video that I did with coasters, I actually drew each petal out, like I cut out each washi tape petal, and then, applied it. So you can do that if you choose to. I'm not going to do that because this particular pattern is quite repetitive. So I don't think it's gonna, the extra effort it's gonna take to actually do each petal, you're not really gonna get the benefit from. Sometimes with some washi tapes, you could actually get a nicer look with individual petals, but I don't think with this washi tape, we're going to see much of a difference. And like I said, with this, you can kind of see that there isn't much. So the one thing I did notice with this particular washi tape though, so let's just start here. We'll do the first one. So you just want to kind of cut it to the approximate size of the base, and then you'll just take your washi tape and just kind of stick it on. So I'm going to just put it right about here. All right, so just stick it there. Now, the thing I noticed with this particular washi tape is if I try to layer it just on top of each other like this, I mean, again, it's not super noticeable because the pattern is so busy that you don't really notice too much that they don't match. But I did find that matching it upside down seemed to give a nicer look. So maybe something to consider depending on the washi tape that you're using. Just, if it doesn't look like, if maybe it looks too, repetitive or too obvious if you do it this way, flip it upside down, and you might actually get a bit of a nicer look with it. So like I said, it just kind of disrupts the pattern a bit, but yet somehow still makes it work because it's reflective of each other. So it kind of gives that look. So anyway, so then for the top, do the same thing. You just kind of cut where you need. And then just do your best to try to layer that without any gaps on top of each other. So like so. So now that once you have that, you can put that now on top of your washi tape. And I know, guys, I know there's a lot of steps here, but like I said, it's not so much that this is super difficult to do, it's just time consuming. So if you, like I said, if you want to have a project that's going to take a bit of time and you're going to get something you really love the finished piece out of, this type of stuff, for me, it does that. Like I said, it's not super difficult to do, but the time involved is, and you guys know that I love little intricate work. So this kind of stuff is super fun for me. I really enjoy it. So then all you're going to do here is we're going to outline, I just took my Sharpie and I'm outlining again the template like so. Well, actually, no, I probably should. I'm going to go in here and outline that part, and then outline that, and that, and that. So there you go. So let's just cut this out. So you could just keep the acetate right on the back if you want to, and then we can glue that, I would use my gloss varnish, but you could glue that right onto the spot where you want your flower. So that would be one way to do that. The other way of doing it is to, again, we'll just kind of put our flower down, like I said, like so. So same idea. We're going to put our flower here. We're going to cut our washi tape to figure out where it's going to go. So we have that one, and we'll take another one on top, and we'll figure out, this one's not going to match up as nicely, but I think it still works. So you kind of figure out where it's going to be placed. And what we'll do is we're actually going to take a bit of Scotch tape. Oops, sorry. We'll take a bit of Scotch tape and we're going to tape down the washi tape, not where we're going to need, like not the parts we're going to need, but just kind of around. Do the same thing. And this is the washi tape that you're keeping the backing on. So now if you're using washi tape that doesn't have the backing, then you can go straight to this idea where we stick it onto the acetate and, you know, that solves that problem. If you have the one that has the paper on the back like this one, because not all of them do, you can do that. You can have a choice. You can do that technique or this one. Okay, so we have our outline on our washi tape, and now you can just peel this off. You can keep the tape for the next flower, for the next one. Just keep them on here. Like so. So now you have the outlines on the washi tape. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you have the outlines on the washi tape. And now, like I said, because we have the paper backer, we can literally just go in and just cut it like so. So we have our flower. So now what we do for that one is we don't actually need to do any of the gluing. We would be able to just, so I don't know if you guys have been wondering why I have a paper towel under this mold, but it's because it sticks to the table. The silicone sticks to it. So I put the tissue under it just so I can kind of, you know, slide it around. So now you would be able to just, you know, take the backing off the washi tape and then stick it right onto the spot where your flower is supposed to go. So yeah, so there you go. So there's two alternatives, or two options, I guess, for how to, that one's a flipped flower. So there's a couple options on how to do the washi tape part of this. So I'm likely going to be doing this option just because you know, I don't really want the extra step with the glue, because now if you add the glue, you'll have to wait for the glue to dry before you can move on to the next step after that. But I totally 1000% understand that this is going to be probably the easier option. So for those of you who, you know, want a little bit less frustration, this would actually be much simpler. So you can do that, stick it on, and then, like I said, you'll have to just, I use this as my kind of a glue for things because I know that it's going to dry 100% clear. So it's a DuraClear gloss varnish. So I would use this, and I would, you know, literally just take a paintbrush and paint, you know, take some of this painted on the back and then stick it on and then let that dry. So that will be the same thing as what I'm going to be doing here with sticking the washi tape straight on. But like I said, you'll just have an added bit of drying time for these. So I'm going to go ahead and again, in a time lapse, kind of get all my flowers set up on here, and then we'll come back afterwards for the next step. Okay, so I have all of my washi tape stuck down now, and so I'm ready to start adding my designs. If you decided to glue your pieces to the resin, now you'll need to wait a little bit for that to dry. Probably wouldn't be too long depending on the material or the type of glue or varnish that you're using to try to use as a glue for it. It might take like an hour or 30 minutes or so to get it to a point where you feel like, okay, I can actually paint on top of it now, because now we're going to be adding our outliner. So this is the one that you guys have seen. If you've been following me, you know this is my favorite outliner. It's the Pebeo Serenade Relief. This is gold. And so now I'm going to go in and actually add in the details. So just like on my sample piece, I'm going to go in and add at least the outlines. All the extra little detailed flourishes and stuff, I will add after, I think, just so that, you know, I'll find spaces where I need a little bit of extra details or decor, and I will add those in. But I'm wanting to get the main shapes in of the flowers first. I will also be adding in the stems, the little decorative stems that I have. And again, just trying to see how I can get everything to fit. So generally when I paint these flowers, I always start from base up. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Is I'm going to start like so. Just to get the base of the stem or the flower in there. Okay, so we are back, and so now everything has pretty much dried on here. I still need to go in and wash off the marker, but I figured we'll do the next step first, and then we're gonna leave all that to dry, and then I can come back and just basically do one big cleanup afterwards before we pour resin on top. So this is where we're at. And so now the next step is I'm going to fill in some of the areas. So again, if we look at my sample, which is this one here, I filled in, you know, the green areas, a little bit of blue, there's some gray, and there's some white, just to kind of fill in those areas. And as you can see, I actually added quite a bit more little bits of details in there. So, but mostly we're going to be focused on any leaves or stems and these little areas in the middle of the flower. So, or at the base of the flower, I guess. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to be using my Pebeo Prisme. I think most of them are Prisme. Oh, I got two Prisme. So I have these are the fantasy ones. So these are the ones that look like kind of like a honeycomb effect. And so this is Midnight Blue and Leaf colors. So those are the colors there on the bottom. And then I have two others, which are the Fantasy Moon, which are more like a hammered effect. And I have a gray and a white in those. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll start with the green. You got to make sure that you mix it up well. If it's not shaking, because sometimes they do get thick as they get older, I just use like back of my brush or like a popsicle stick and just stir it. But as you can see, mine are still quite new. So I don't have to worry about that too much. And all we're going to do is take our paintbrush, and I like to hold it close because when I go to paint with these ones, I like to have it a little bit thick. In order to get the effect of the hammered effect, you kind of need it. You can't just paint it on thin like that. Like, you actually have to have a little bit of depth to it. So I kind of pool it in between the outliner a bit in order to get the effect. So sometimes I don't even really move it around too much, except maybe in the corners, but I just kind of drop it in place. Okay, so we're back. I had to actually take care of a bunch of life things. So I've been away from this for most of the day today. And so everything is now dried for the most part in terms of all the paint. So I'm not sure if you can see it. Let's see if I can get it closer. But if you can see the texture that the Pebeo paints, those fantasy, this was the Prisme. The hammered, you really can't see the effect because it was only the gray and the white, I think, and those ones are pretty tiny, so you can't really see the effects. But it's similar to the Prisme, except that it's more, it doesn't have as many cells. Like, it looks more flattened out, so it just has kind of a more mottled metal kind of look, the hammered metal look. So anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with those. So those have all dried nicely. And I've actually, I don't know if you can tell, I've actually also gone in and removed all the marker lines as well. So that I've done. Anyway, so we've done that. And of course, now that I have all this, I mean, you probably also noticed I did add some more details. I mean, that may continue to happen as this project goes on, just because as I look at it, I might say, oh, you know, there's a spot here or here that could use something a little extra. So I may continue to do that, but like I said, you make it as simple or as complex as you like. So this is where I'm currently at with mine. And so now that I've looked at it like this, I'm wondering if I should add some sparkle. And I knew my longtime followers are all like, where's the glitter? Where's the sparkle? So it's coming, just because I didn't want to, I wasn't sure if I was going to add glitter to this piece, just because I mean, there's a lot going on here already, but I do think a little bit of sparkle is going to help as well. Just, you know, make it that, you know, a little extra glam. So I'm going to be using the Snowstorm glitter from Counterculture. Now, the reason why I picked this one is because it's, I don't know if you can tell, but it is a super fine glitter. Like, it's really, really small, and that's what I want. I don't want anything that's too chunky. I was considering using Laura Art Corner's Lazuli Stiletto, just because it has that tint of blue in it. But this is more of a fine glitter compared to the ultra fine. So I mean, in any other situation, I probably would have picked this one, but and again, like, it does look beautiful. So if you, I mean, the sparkle on this is amazing. So if you choose to use something like this, just know that's where you can get this one. This is from, again, it's Laura's Art Corner. So there you go. But I decided I'm going to use this one just because it is a ultra fine glitter. So it's not going to be chunky. It's going to let the designs still, you know, show really nicely through. And I'm also not going to be doing it super thick. So what I did is I've mixed it, you can barely see it, but I've mixed it again with my DuraClear gloss varnish. And the proportions on this mix is probably about, I want to say like 60-40. So 60% varnish, 40% glitter, maybe even it's slightly more varnish than that, because again, I don't want the glitter to be super thick on the designs. I want it to, you know, just kind of a little bit of, you know, sparkle here and there. So when you look at it and you walk by it, you know, it sparkles a little bit. So that's what I did here. And I did this a few minutes ago, so it's already starting to thicken up. So I am going to just add a little bit more, just to kind of thin that out again a little bit more, because it does start to, you know, as air hits it, it will start to dry a bit. But so there we go. So again, I don't know if you can see, it's not a ton. And forgive my nails here, guys. I was, after cleaning this, a lot of my nails started chipping. So anyway, so forgive that. Just ignore it. Nothing to see here. So anyway, so we'll go in and we'll and like, all I'm going to be putting it on, I'm not going to be putting it on the whole petal. I'm going to be putting it only on these little flower designs. So like this, and again, really lightly. It's not gonna, I don't know if you can even see it on camera, to be honest, but it's really light, and it's just to give a little bit of sparkle to those flowers. So And again, this is a step. If this is not for you, if it's not something that, you know, you like how this ends up looking, you definitely can skip this step. It is, again, a little tedious just because there's a lot of this detail on this clock. But again, I live for these little details. I think, you know, it's something that I truly enjoy, just, you know, knowing that these little added touches, just, it really adds more personality and interest to my pieces. So it's something that I don't mind spending, you know, if this takes me 10 minutes, I don't mind spending the 10 minutes to do that. I'm not putting any on the dark blue area. So you can see like the dark blue areas here. I'll put it maybe a little bit on these there's little feathers in this pattern as well as the flowers. So I'll put them on, I'll just do a touch on those. But again, I'm trying not to get any on the background. It just gives a little, you know, little extra glamour, a little glam. So, all right, so I'll go into a quick time lapse and we'll quickly do the rest of this. All right, so we're back. So yeah, so now that we have all of our glitter added, that's pretty much it in terms of the design for this piece. For this part anyway. But anyway, so what we'll do, I wanted to show you, so I did originally, I know when I started the video, I showed you guys the style, which is the gold, so you can still see how that would look. I don't want to put it down because then I won't be able to pick it up again. So there we go. So that's what the gold would look like. And again, is beautiful. So that could definitely work with that. And this is actually it's a mirror dial. You can't really tell right now because it has a film on it to protect it. And I don't take that off until I'm going to just start pouring the resin on it because I don't want to get fingerprints or anything. So right now there's a film, but it's actually a mirror. So it's super shiny. So this is the gold. Now I do have silver and I wanted to look at the silver as well, just because sometimes it's nice to have a contrast. So like I said, the gold would work. So we have that. And then this is the silver. And I just think the silver just brightens everything up so well. It might be hard to tell on camera with the lighting and stuff, but I think the silver also picks up, you know, all the lighter areas of the piece. So like the little, oh, I missed dots here. I just realized, okay, I'm going to fix that. So it picks up the little white dots on the flowers. And like even now that we've added that sparkle, it's starting to pick up, you know, the sparkle as well. So it kind of brings out some of the brighter tones in the piece. So I think I'm going to go with the silver. I put a little bit of the gloss varnish on it just to kind of hold it in place. We'll stick it down. It doesn't need to be 100% secure because again, we'll be pouring resin on top of it, but just to kind of position it in place, you know, and then we'll put like, so I'll do that. So I'll put a bit of gloss varnish off camera. And then, like I said, stick this on, and then once everything is dry, I'll take it to the other side of my studio where I'm going to pour the resin on it. I'll take the film off, and then I'll pour my top coat of resin on here. Okay, so we're back, and so now I've double coated the clock with resin. So I did this the first top coat while it was in the mold, and then I unmolded that, and then I did the second kind of dome coat on top. And I will link above here where there's a tutorial for how to do the dome coat. Okay, so it's been about 8 hours actually since I painted the edges. So as you can see, those are all nicely done now. And now we can add our clock mechanism. So I have this one here, and I already have the little hook thingy attached and the rubber washer. This is one of the little battery powered ones. And we just slide that through, make sure that the hook is hanging up towards the top. And we have our bolt. So we're gonna put that on like so. And I have, let's switch hands here, and I have my little wrench. So we'll tighten this a little. We don't want it to be too tight. We don't want to crack our resin, but just snug enough that the mechanism isn't going to move around on us too much. So we have that pointing up. Actually, I can move that now. So we have our base like so. And then we have our clock hands. So I'm going to use these ones just because I think it kind of matches the style, the fanciness. I did add the hook onto the back of this, but I did want to mention that I don't know, like I haven't tested it yet to know for sure that it should be fine, like having the, the hook be, basically the entire weight of the clock is being held up by the center. The resin's not that heavy, so I think it's fine. I haven't tested it yet though. So, but I am going to recommend, and what I think actually looks really nice, and I'm going to do this at the end of the video, is I think putting this on like a plate stand, and maybe it can be sitting on like a fireplace mantle or just some other place that's kind of on a shelf or a ledge or, on a counter, whatever it is. I think that could look really nice for this too, just so it's more of like an art display piece as well as, obviously being a clock. So I think that it is really nice, but for those who would want to definitely, if they prefer having it on the wall, I think it's completely fine to put it on the wall as well. But again, I haven't tested 100% to know that there's not going to be any issues by hanging it by the, basically the center is what's holding up the entire piece. And I know that's the case for the wood clocks that I do too, but wood we know is more stable. Resin sometimes can, have some issues with, with heat or humidity and things like that. I don't believe that would be an issue with the resin that I'm using, but I just want to caution everybody for, whichever resin that they're using, you want to make sure that if you're going to make something like this, that your resin can withstand, any kind of temperature changes and things like that. So in any case, guys, I hope that you like this tutorial. I am going to take some beauty shots of it, and I hope you like the idea of utilizing the washi tape into a design like this. Just adds so much more texture and depth and interest in your piece, and I think it could work out in a lot of different ways, a lot of different styles. So, and then again, creating a clock completely out of resin was something new to me, but I really, really like how this turned out. So, and if you do decide to try this tutorial, don't forget that I do have my new hashtag, LiaDia inspired me. And if you decide to try this and post it to Instagram or TikTok, you can tag me and use the hashtag, and then at least once a week I go through and I try to pick a few posts that I'm going to feature in my story. So feel free to use the hashtag and tag me, and I will definitely take a look at your pieces there. So anyways, guys, I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and because it really does help out the channel. And I've been loving all the comments that you guys have been leaving for me to let me know what you think of the pieces, any suggestions, any ideas. I love hearing from you guys, so let me know what you think of this clock, the technique in general, or any of the other thoughts that you have about creating something like this piece. And anyways, and I will see you all later. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.